Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. Here we are again on the economy. It's probably the biggest story that everybody seems to be talking about in this country. At least they're talking about something. They're sure shit not talking about freedom of speech and our civil rights. But we are talking about the economy because that is affecting everybody, Democrats and Republicans alike. And it's Donald Hoover Trump, mafia style. You know, let's just go through the list of what has happened, Jesus, in the last couple of weeks. So they did the universal reciprocal tariffs, which were not reciprocal because they had a ridiculous math equation, including a trade imbalance by a multiplier, and gives you a number that's like 4, 5, 6, 10 times the amount of a reciprocal tariff. Like if a country has like a 1% tariff on our country and we hit them with a 90% tariff, that's just absolute insanity. And it's all about Donald Trump's ego. He wants people to come and kiss his ass. And there will be smaller countries that have absolutely no power. They're going to come and kiss his ass because they don't want their country wrecked and ruined for a generation, which I don't think Donald Trump gives a shit about that. He doesn't give a shit about our country being wrecked for a generation. Yeah, I called him Trump Herbert Hoover, or Donald Hoover Trump, because when the stock market crashed in October of 1929, Herbert Hoover was president. And a few months later, he passes the bill, the Smoot-Hawley Act, which was a huge, massive act of tariffs. And it exacerbated the economic decline and put us into a depression. In New York City, we had huts and tents built in Central Park, housing all of the homeless and starving people. And one of the things that Trump said a long time ago, he says, "I just don't want to be known as Herbert Hoover." Well, dude, you are doing everything that Herbert Hoover did. What kind of outcome do you think this is going to be? So he does the universal. Trump does the universal tariffs on Liberation Day, Treasury looting day. Then a few days later, after the markets crashed for like 3 days in a row, Trump pulls back, but only pulls back 10%. So everybody's got a 10% tariff except for 3 countries. Mexico, Canada, they both have still the 25% tariff, and China, which started off with a 50% tariff, then it went to a 90% tariff, then it went 104% tariff, then 145% tariff. And the thing is that China, they're the up and coming country right now. They have us well over a barrel. They are the manufacturing hub of the planet. And Donald Trump, I don't know where he's getting his information from. I mean, that was the thing, is like back in his first term, he had a handful of people in the Oval Office. Now, they were all conservative, but a handful of people that were like, "Mr. President, you can't do that, and this is why." And Donald Trump would usually listen to the last person in the room, and a handful of those people were at least smart enough to tell him, "Don't blow up our economy." And he would hold back. Well, he doesn't have those people anymore. He is surrounded by tech bros and sycophants that all they do is kiss his ass all day long. There is nobody there to explain to him the dangers of what he's doing. But his ego is so goddamn huge, he doesn't seem to care. Now, there's a lot of people who are saying that it's very possible that he is shorting the market so he and his buddies can, make money. And that's a very distinct possibility. Buying the dip and a handful of oligarchs end up owning everything. That is a distinct possibility, and I would not put that past Donald Trump. I've seen old interviews with him talking about how he would rather an economy be bad because he can buy things up for cheap. If an economy is good, it's hard to buy things up cheap because, the economy is great, everything is, more expensive. He cannot buy the things that he wants. He wants an economy that's in the crapper. That way he can come in and buy up all the real estate that you want. I believe that was an old Italian saying. I believe it's probably Machiavelli or something like that. But when there's blood on the street, buy property. So in a disaster capitalism kicks in, and the wealthy, everybody takes a hit, the wealthy take a hit, but they still got so much goddamn money. Then they invest that money into buying up property on the cheap. And then when times get better again, then their profits go through the roof. And, as a real estate agent, Donald Trump thinks of everything as a real estate deal. And, of course, he's got the same mindset. So today, over the weekend, on some of the weekend talk shows, they have the Treasury Secretary, what's his name? Besant. He says that there's going to be an electronics exemption, meaning like 25% of the things that we get from China, for cell phones and electronics and what have you, those would be exempt from the tariffs. But then I think later on that day on another talk show, they've got the Commerce Secretary, Lutnick, another Muppet, an idiot. That's an insult to Muppets. But he's just this other idiot who's all about these tariffs. And he says, no, there's not going to be any exemptions for those electronics. And then Donald Trump chimes in, not on that show, but later on that day, he says, no, there's not going to be any exemptions. So I guess the tariffs are back on. He said something about, I moved that tariff from this bucket to another bucket. Hearing Donald Trump say the word bucket, his voice is already cringe enough. I don't need the help. But Donald Trump, this is the guy who reorganized NAFTA, which, by the way, was a bad deal, started by George H.W. Bush and then put into effect by Bill Clinton. Donald Trump says it was a bad deal, and during his first term, he renegotiated that NAFTA trade agreement between Canada and Mexico, and he called it the USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada Alliance. And, he touted it, he shouted it from the rooftops, what a wonderful deal it was. And now he's talking about, I don't know who made that deal with Canada and Mexico, but it's a stupid deal, I hate it, it's awful. It's like, dude, it was you. It was fucking you. Do you not remember this? Or are you just relying on the fact that the people that surround you or the people that look up to you, they won't remember it? That's a distinct possibility. I doubt that any Republican remembers that he did that trade deal with Canada and Mexico. So, but what makes this particular situation worse? And one of the reasons why Donald Trump backed off of the tariffs, last week and brought it back to 10% as opposed to the reciprocal tariffs is that countries were selling off treasury bonds. I've explained it before, but let me explain it again. In economic times of hardship, people run to safety. And a safe bet for your investment money, like you take it out of something that's risky, you want to put it in something that's safe. And one of the things that's safe in this country is United States Treasury bonds. They are a very low yield, but at the same time, they don't fluctuate very much. So it's a nice, small, steady growth. You get out of the risky situation and you go to safety. with a treasury bond. Countries are now selling off treasury bonds. And it's one of the reasons why our treasury bonds are one of the reasons why our dollar is the world currency. I believe it's over 80% of all trades internationally throughout the planet is with American dollars. When that stops being the case, our economy is going to hit an iceberg that's going to make the Titanic look minuscule. We have never seen anything like this. And right now, our market is back up, but it is not back up to what it was. I hear today they're like, oh, the stock market made a 300-point rally. Well, it went down like 5,000 points in the last 2 weeks. So don't let me get excited about 300 points today. It went up like 2,000 points last week when he got rid of them, but then it went up and then it dipped back down. Then it's coming back up slowly again, but it's not where it was. And at this time, with our treasury bonds not being safe anymore, by the way, it wasn't China that started selling those, just so you know. The first thing everybody thinks of is, oh, China must be selling those treasury bonds off to wreck our market. No. China doesn't want to wreck our market. We are inexorably tied together economically. They make the goods. We buy the bulk of the goods. I mean, granted, it's odd that we're only 4% of the world's population, but we buy the most stuff because we have the biggest economy. Duh. And when Donald Trump says that there's a trade disparity with another country, like, some small African nation, they need to be buying as much from us as we buy from them. There's only like, 2 or 3 industries in that country, like, maybe mining for diamonds and making clothes. And we buy a large amount from them. They don't have the money to buy American products like that. So there's a trade disparity. I have a trade disparity with my local Starbucks. They don't buy subscriptions on my YouTube show. They don't buy any music that I write. They don't come down to my bar and buy drinks off of me. There's a trade disparity between me and the people that work at Starbucks. That doesn't mean that I need to put a trade embargo on that Starbucks. That would be fucking stupid. I mean, what are we talking about here? This is simple shit that an 8th grader would understand. But somehow or the other, Donald Trump either doesn't get it or does not care. And watching every country run from us, China, South Korea, and Japan, they're not really that friendly, but they have joined forces because they are making alliances for the new world economy. We are intentionally pulling ourselves out of it. And the irony is that this is the economy that we have built over the years. This is the economic global economy that not just us, but conservatives, real serious laissez-faire, free trade Republicans like Ronald Reagan, this is the system that they set up. And now Donald Trump is running away from it. And we're pissing off our allies. We're wrecking our relationship with the country that we buy the most shit from. And every other country is either, on their knees begging, please don't destroy my little hovel of a country. Or somebody like China going, bring it, son. I'm not afraid of you. And I think that this whole bloviating, oh, well, China this and China that, Donald Trump is going to either have to kiss that ass because he fucked up, and he fucked up, and everybody knows he fucked up. He's going to have to kiss Xi's ass something fierce. or we're just going to fucking do a tailspin, man. I mean, this is just getting started. The firings will be coming. The stagflation will hit. People will stop spending money. The economy will grind to a halt. And we will be looking at something we haven't seen in over 100 years. Make America great again? Ooh, honey. I don't know. Maybe the next president, if we get that shot, maybe that's the one that will be the next FDR. Because Donald Trump is looking very Herbert Hoover right now. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.